Welcome to the People Sports Podcast. I'm Mark Titus. She is sweating, and her name is Charlotte Wilder. Why are you said this off air before you came on. You're just like, I'm sweating a lot right now.
I'm
And
so
is there
glad
a
we're
story
just
behind it?
leading with this. No, that's why it's weird. Like I went for
Okay.
a walk this morning and then I thought I'd cool down, but I put a sweatshirt on because I was wearing the same shirt that I've been wearing for the past 4 days. And I was like, I'm going to dress up for the podcast and put a sweatshirt on. And now I'm just
Yeah.
warm.
You did what I did for our live show where
Yes.
I ended up wearing a black sweatshirt and jeans in Los Angeles at like 4:00, and mistakes were made. And I just that's
We were in direct sunlight for anyone who didn't
yeah.
see that.
Yeah. How
I
are you
was
doing?
sweating a lot then too.
How are you doing otherwise? Is there anything you want to talk? Like, it's the podcast. The podcast playbook says we got to do a little chit chat, a little small talk. We can't just dive right in. People don't like that, Charlotte. People don't like when you're like, "Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about Afghanistan," and everyone's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, too much, too soon." You gotta like kind of small talk your way to the big issues. You know what I mean?
I didn't see an Afghanistan reference coming right off the bat. But Mark, I've been having one of those weeks where I was like, this feels like when we started this last summer when we were like, everything is awful. Can we carve out like a fun little moment? And
Yeah.
I've been really looking forward to this because everything feels kind of awful. So I was like, let's have fun. Can we just
Let's
have fun?
do top 5 most awful things happening in the
Okay.
world right now. Go ahead.
First of
You go
all, bad
first.
hair day for both of us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man. Okay, well let's figure out what we're gonna talk. Let's cheer you up,
okay.
Charlotte. That's the goal for today. We're gonna cheer
Thank
you
you.
up. So I have a long list of topics. And you can probably not talk about them. Some of these are better than others. Number one, did you watch the Field of Dreams games? It feels like a lifetime ago. This was last week, so I understand a lot of people listening are like, what the hell
Mhm.
wasn't that? But the way the schedule works out, we record on Wednesdays. The game was last Thursday, so I understand it feels like a long time ago, but it's still in our news cycle. Did you
Yeah.
watch? What were your thoughts as a hater of the movie and someone who
Oh,
said this
come
movie sucks? What were
on.
your thoughts about the
Give
film?
me a little credit, man. I thought it was pretty, it was one of those things where it ended up being pretty magical. Like, I think the fact
Yeah,
that it was a really good game, was very, very helpful for the entire experience, but, like, there's something about a cornfield that is just I mean, I don't know, did it speak to you
yes,
as your
cornfields and
Midwestern
baseball. I think
soul?
I think that's what the whole movie is. Why it works.
Yeah.
Like when you mentioned last week that the movie's kind of stupid. If you read like the Wikipedia plot summary, you're like, what the hell is this movie? But really, what the plot summary should just say is baseball and cornfields, which
Yeah.
is the two images of Americana. Those are the two
Mhm.
things right there, and they're also timeless. Charlotte, no matter what
Yeah.
changes in this world, 1,000 years from now, we'll probably. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but 1,000 years
Mhm.
from now, fingers crossed, baseball and cornfields will probably still be around in this country.
I'm hopeful because listen, there's nothing better than being a little kid wandering through a cornfield
Yeah,
where, I mean, I will say though, corn mazes, I know they had one at the Field of Dreams. I have been in one of those before and it is low key terrifying. Like I got extremely lost
yeah.
by myself once in a corn maze
Well, did you
and
know?
I was like, this
No,
is
no.
where I die.
Yeah, did you know more people die in cornfields every year than like from shark attacks? And there are a handful, and I forget
Stop
what the
it.
other one. Oh, I almost
Stop
got
it.
you.
You almost
We
got me.
should. There are people that die. I mean, those are stories coming out of the middle. There are people that happens a lot
Wait,
actually. Like
really?
a lot in the sense like it's happened many. Like I
I
know of
can't
multiple
think
times
of
that it's happened.
I mean, because that is something that you do starting up for fun, and it's, I
Yeah.
think that we were saying that it was a romantic film about a romantic movie, and it's a, very corny, if you will,
Hmm.
but, they earn it in the end. And I think that there's something about cornfields that are romantic and fun, and I can't think of anything worse than perishing because you wanted to go
You're just
walk
like,
your way,
yeah.
Like, that's
Here's
pretty
a
dark.
here's an idea that's probably already happened. So this is
Uh-huh.
me reinventing something that already exists. A horror movie where it's like 12 Angry Men, where it's filmed all in one room, except the horror movie is like all filmed in the same cornfield, and it's just like 2 hours in one cornfield. And there's
No,
not even a villain. It's just like a guy is in there. It's like Blair Witch Project type stuff where a guy's just got a selfie stick and he's like, I don't know how to get out. Where do I
that's the
go?
most claustrophobic, horrifying. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't do it.
All right,
What did you
so
think though?
I liked it. Obviously it was awesome, and I appreciate that MLB juiced the ball, and juiced the corn, and did everything else they needed to do to make the game awesome. That was
I
a
gotta tell
nice
you,
touch.
those sunsets, man.
Mhm.
Midwest sunsets. Is that a thing? Like, do I just not know about this? Because that was a pretty spectacular
I think
backdrop they
MLB juiced the sky too. I mean,
had.
in the summer, the sun definitely comes out, but yeah, that's what like people were talking about Midwest sunsets, because yeah, the imagery was amazing. But all I could think was like, man, I remember like 5 sunsets from my life
Yeah.
growing up. It's just like great.
Well, also living in LA now, you get really incredible over the
Yeah,
ocean sunsets. So, I
but
mean, a cornfield is an ocean of sorts, one could argue.
right, right. Yes, I'm with
They
you.
both have waves.
Yes.
You can surf. I don't know.
That's about it.
I'm reaching.
The image of the Midwestern sky for me, like if I'm picturing the Midwest, it is
Mhm.
the opening scene of Making a Murderer, where there's like Canadian geese flying and the sky is into a gray sky. And
I
it's like
didn't see it.
sad music. And I'm like, that's home to me, baby.
Oh dear God. I
Oh
love
man.
Mark, one of my favorite things about you is that you really know how to surprise me. Like, you can come out of left field, as it were. You can come out of the left cornfield with
There you
just
go.
something I am not expecting, and I really appreciate that about you.
I'm not
Okay,
kidding.
what
That's like nostalgia for me. When I was watching Making a Murderer, I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to be taking away from this, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like, man, that looks like home.
You're
Anyway,
like, "There it is."
uh, I imagine you don't want to talk about the fight at the Rams game between the people are talking. We don't need it. We just skip past that one.
I think we can bounce that. I
All
think
right,
we
let's just
can I think there are more interesting things happening. I
okay.
also wanna say that I love when you come with a list of things,
Yeah,
because I think you're better at organizing events than I am,
yeah.
because I come in and I'll just be, like, bouncing on but a list really helps me.
A
So
list, yeah.
please continue.
All right, so here's another story I saw that I definitely don't want to talk about. I just want to
Mhm.
bring the headline to your attention because
Mhm.
this was a headline that I stopped like 3 different times and it was just like, "What?" So stick with me here. Team
Mhm.
USA paintball, that's where I stopped number 1. I was like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what?" Do you know the
It's
story?
no. I
Okay.
didn't even know that Team USA paintball.
Right. So I
Okay.
stopped right there. I was like, "Wait, what?" Team
Yeah.
USA paintball player kicked off team, whoa,
Okay.
for shaming child. What? COVID patient, huh? On TikTok. That's the headline.
Oh my god!
Team USA paintball player kicked off team for shaming child COVID patient on TikTok.
This is I uh, you could not there is no world in which I would have guessed any of that. Did you read the article?
Did not read the article. Don't want to read the article. Don't want to know anything else about the story. That's a headline that is perfect in how ridiculous it is. Like
Yep.
what? That's just what I. That is a
No,
novel. That is a novel of a headline where I'm just like, what a story. That is.
that's a screenplay,
Yeah.
actually. That's an entire movie in that headline. I think
Uh,
that we the one thing I would actually like to get to the bottom of, though, is Team USA paintball, because what if there's a paintball Hall of Fame that we can visit?
whoa.
That's the
Great
only
call.
that's the fun and funny part of that
What is
headline that
what do you
I
think
would spend time diving into.
what is the first name of the greatest paintballer
Mhm.
of all time in the Hall of Fame?
Randy.
Yeah, yeah.
Hands down. His name it's like Randy Marlback or something, where,
Randy
you
Marr.
know, it's not even you're not even sure it's a real name,
He's a
but
gator hunter on the side. Like he's hunting
he's from
gators and
Florida for sure.
yeah. And in his
Florida
spare
man.
time, he picked up paintball and he became great at it. All right, so we won't talk about that. I just want to bring the headline to your attention. There's this story I saw in Japan that a
Mhm.
mayor in Japan has come under fire. He's facing scrutiny, as leaders do,
As
as
mayors are wont
politicians.
to do.
Yes, this happens from mayors time to time. What has he done, Charlotte? I'll tell you what he's done. He took off his mask during a gold medal. One of the people from this town in Japan was on
Mhm.
the Japanese softball team that beat America and won the gold medal for Japan. So they're doing like a big thing where the mayor and her are showing off the gold medal. The mayor takes the gold medal. He pulls his
Mhm.
mask down and he bites it because he wants the
Oh.
photo op of him biting the gold medal. And he has now come under fire because people are losing their minds about like just the imagery of like in this time of a pandemic, the guy took his
Right.
mask off and just like made out with this woman's
That's that
metal
is
and
oh my god. Optically, like I truly you can't design a more like I can't think of a more not harmless because there are definitely ways in which that could have been harmful, but you know, it's not a scandal in the typical
right.
politician scandal sense. It's just like I can't think of a worse optic right now.
Yeah.
Like his
Right.
PR team, the minute he did that, they're just like, oh,
Yes. Yes.
like
Like
yeah.
I would love to see him at the politician scandal summit where like all the disgraced politicians meet
Yes.
up and they talk about their scandals and they're just going around the circle like talking about
He's
the
like, yeah,
sex
man,
crimes they've committed and like
right.
the atrocities they've committed and then he's like, yeah, I bid a gold medal.
They're like, when though? And he's like 2021. They're like,
Ooh,
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 tough.
ooh.
Biting metals
uh,
in general is something that always seemed really unpleasant to me because you know, have you ever like, oh, I can't even say it without like cringing. Have you ever like accidentally bitten tinfoil or something?
oh yeah,
I mean,
that's yeah, yeah,
bad.
yeah.
So I'd
That,
always felt sort of like not
that, hap-
ideal to me.
that happens to me a lot when I go to Chipotle because I'm an idiot and I just get like
Oh,
too
you eat,
hungry and I'm like peeling it off and I like don't.
uh, you eat the burrito wrapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier about like our lives are probably a little too easy where we complain about bad hair days. The same thing happens to me when I bite into the foil at Chipotle where like I pretend like I've been shot in the chest. I
Well,
take the bite and then I just drop like everything out of my mouth and I'm like, ugh, like back up. I'm sure everyone look at me is
you
like,
just go like full little kid. You
yeah.
just regress completely.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, you know, this is also something interesting that I'd love to talk to a dentist about. But if you had, you know, I feel like at some point during our childhood, maybe around the time that we were like, you know, 10 or 11, I don't know if you had cavities, but I am prone to cavities. And there was a shift from metal fillings to the white ones that didn't hurt your teeth as much
Really?
if you
I didn't
ate
know this. Okay.
aluminum.
Okay.
Yeah, I have weak teeth. And so I would love to that's something I could dive into the Wikipedia page of. Oh,
What are cavities? Like I always thought cavities, and this
mhm.
is just dumb like kid thinking that just stuck with you because like it's probably what my parents told it's probably like one of those deals where their parent how like your parents probably maybe they didn't, but my parents would always tell me like you can't it's illegal to have the light on inside a moving car. So like if my
Yes.
brother and I were like trying to read and we turned the light on, my dad would be like, it's illegal. As I've gotten older, I found out my dad just couldn't really see and was just like nonsense in the back, cut it out. Like that was his so he's like, it's illegal, Mark. It'll go on your permanent record. Um the same thing with cavities. I was always led to believe that cavities, like you got cavities because you didn't brush your teeth enough. So like when kids in my school would say like I had to get a cavity filled, I was like, disgusting, dude.
I
Like,
know.
how about some hygiene?
No, and see, that was my deepest shame because that was the myth that was propagated. I asked a
Yeah.
dentist because I was like, why do I like I brush my teeth, I swear, I floss, I use fluoride, I try to do all the right things, and I still come in here with cavities. And she was like, some people just have weak teeth, Charlotte. And I was like, I don't know what's worse. I don't know if I'd rather just be dirty or be the girl with weak teeth. But no, that is definitely a something that I grew up to. So I was very embarrassed whenever I would come back to school after the dentist and like half my face was Novocaine and I couldn't drink my milk or whatever, like it was a tough time.
You're gonna have to sit down with your kids and have the talk of like, just so you know, the genetics I passed on to you, you suffer from weak teeth.
Yeah,
This will be
look,
a
kids,
problem.
I'm sorry for all the neuroses and the weak teeth,
The weak teeth.
but you might have
Uh,
great hair. Who knows? I'm just
there you
joking.
go. There you go. All right.
Oh, hey, something that I
What?
wanted to tell you that I should have dropped into the chit chat. Remember how a few weeks ago when we were talking about Halls of Fame, or maybe last week? Was that last week?
That was last week. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, last week when we were talking about Halls of Fame and we are talking about transportation museums, and I said that I am a 4-year-old boy because I enjoy trains and cars and
Planes
boats and
and
planes and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I stayed up until 1 in the morning the other night, researching military aircraft.
Oh my god.
Mark, I I was
Oh
on
my
like
God.
I was on Wikipedia pages, I was on government websites, I was looking at, and then I ended up just on like videos of people in first class of like various
Oh my
airlines.
God.
And I looked up and it was 1 a.m. and I was like, I have been doing this since
Oh
11:30.
my God.
And so I just wanted to bring that full circle so that everyone knows that I was actually serious.
That is that's amazing. That's it's a little surprising if we're being honest. Like you don't seem like like if you asked our audience, like one of the hosts of this show spent a lot of time looking into a military aircraft. Which one of the hosts was it? I don't
Yeah.
think most people would pick
I
you.
don't think it'd be pacifist East Coast elite Charlotte,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
here we are. No, I actually weirdly in college, my parents joked that I majored in history, and they were like, "Your major is just 20th century disasters." Like, I wrote my thesis on Vietnam, like, weirdly interested in war, so that's a whole other podcast.
Maybe there's a corner for somebody to take that's like the good historian where like you don't talk it like you give people history lessons and remind people, but it's like always like the good stuff, which
Oh,
like I
wouldn't that
guess
be
is
nice?
but I guess there is no good history. Is
Yeah, it's
there?
tough. It's tough out there. No, you know what? There were a few, no, you know, I
Yeah.
don't have any.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry for that
Nothing comes
digression, but that felt like
uh
a
No, that's good.
TSP
I
rabbit hole.
for the record, I don't think you're too crazy to be into that stuff. Like I'm the same way. Like I go to you see the beach that I go to. You've been to the beach with me over
Mhm,
here in Marina Del Rey.
mhm.
The LAX is close, and
Mm,
it's close-ish. Uh, close enough to where like the planes when most of the planes when they leave LA, they like take off over the Pacific Ocean and then do a
yes.
U-turn if they're going east. So if you're sitting on the beach, you can just look to your left and you just see plane after plane taking off. And like there's something about just sitting there, like and also the boats are coming out of the marina. And I can
Yes.
just like sit there and just like watch boats and planes.
I
And I
think
can't
there was
help
a
myself,
good
Charlotte. It's an
yeah.
instinct. If there's a big one, I just point and I'm like, well, that's a big boy. I say that all the time to nobody. I just to myself. I'm like, wow, that's a big boy right there.
Listen, I think there were about 25 minutes at least of our time on the beach where both of us were just, like, staring at moving
Yeah.
objects. We're like, "Oh, cool."
You're like, damn, look
Also,
at that boat. Wow. Wow,
one of
look
my
at that
best
plane.
friends had an apartment in New York that looked at the water, and on Sundays, the cruise ships would leave New York, and I would get all these videos of cruise ships, and I'm very sad she moved because that was my favorite. I look forward to that. Anyway, what
Anyway,
else is
all
on
right.
your list?
So there's that. There's also this story which we've touched on a little
Mhm.
bit cricket on the show. We've never
Yes.
really done a cricket deep dive, and I just want to call to your attention that India is playing England in cricket right now. And by right
Oh.
now I mean like I don't really fully understand. Like, is the series? I don't. But anyway, India demolished England in cricket, but it was like match one of this
Aren't
series.
cricket matches, like, 6 weeks long or something?
I Charlotte, this was the point is that like I realized with a lot of sports, if I know nothing about it, I can fake it. You know,
Yeah.
like some of the like, that's what happens with the Olympics. You know, like I watched like the canoe slalom event. I have no idea what's going on, but then within 5 minutes, like if I was just like watching it and then like a buddy walks into the living room, is like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "A canoe slalom." So here's the deal: like they got
Yeah.
like the third, and then I'll start explaining the sports to them like I'm a genius.
Yeah.
And the whole reason I want to bring this up is that we've talked about cricket before, and I saw that India smoked England in cricket or is in the process of
Mhm.
smoking England. And I was like trying to like read about like how historic this is, like contextualize this for me, please, cricket
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
And I came away more confused than when I started. And this is the entire article I found on Fox, by the way.
Okay.
Foxsports.com wrote about
Wait,
this.
really?
We had somebody write about this, Charlotte. I'm going to read the entire
Look at our
article for you.
website a little more.
Tell me what you can pull from this article. Here's the entire article.
Okay.
It's not long. It's only like four. It's really not long at all. But here we go. India's pacemen impressed with both bat and ball as Virat Kohli's side thrashed England by 151 runs in the second test at Lords on Monday.
Not a
Okay.
single okay, no
Sounds like
idea.
India won big.
India's
Victory.
is paceman? Say that one more time. Paceman?
India's pacemen impressed with both bat and ball as Virat Kohli, which is I believe the manager's name, as
Okay.
Virat Kohli's side thrashed England by 151 runs. That sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
In the second test at Lords on Monday. Victory gave India a 1-0 lead in a 5-match series after just their third win in 19 tests at the home of cricket followed by a rain-marred draw at Trent Bridge. England set 272 to win in a minimum of 60 overs on the last day. Were dismissed for 120. Their latest collapsed. They were in dire straits at 1-2 after Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami removed openers Rory Burns and Dom Sibley for naught apiece. This is the last line. Fellow paceman Mohammad Siraj then followed up with a 4-32, a return that saw him end the match by bowling number 11 James Anderson to seal an India win that followed their 1986 and 2014 test triumphs at Lords. That was the article. I read that. I was like, what?
I'm laughing because that might as well have been the manual for how to fly a spaceship. Like I think I would understand how to fly a spaceship more than I understood what any of that was. And I'm not laughing at cricket. I'm laughing at how little we can. I didn't know it was possible to know this little about a sport after working in sports for this long.
Yes, this was the point. It was like I read this headline. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. I thought like this would be a fun bit. I'll come on. I'll be like, Charlotte, India smoked England, and then I'll start talking like I know the sport and see if Charlotte like can tell that I have no idea what I'm talking about, whatever. And then I read the article and I was like, what?
Can't even fake it, man.
Can't even fake it. So anyway, that's going on.
I don't even know what I couldn't use any of those words in a convincing sentence. I'd be like the test. Like I don't know where to start. The test could be the ball for all I know.
What is this?
Like I don't even. That's incredible.
So there you have it.
I mean, we've talked about cricket in terms of they played in a cave once in the slate mines. Do you remember that? But we haven't actually taken the time to try to understand it. So
I think like I wanted to hypothetically someday do a cricket show, and then I read that and I was like,
no,
oh my god, dude! I'd rather talk about
icing was bad.
I'd rather talk about astrophysics, honestly, because I'm not even kidding. All jokes aside, I read a book. I read the Stephen Hawking book A Brief History of Everything. Last summer. I obtained like 1% of what was in that book, but I feel like now I understand that more than I understand cricket. I generally understand that more than cricket.
Did he get into string theory at all?
Yes.
I've always been fascinated by. Maybe I'll read that book. We're gonna have a lot of time on planes this fall, so maybe I'll just try to get smarter.
You should. It is it was an unbelievable. I should reread it. I should just read it every summer.
Should we read it? Because you had Mark's Big Brain Book Club.
The idea was Big Brain Book Club. I was doing this on Instagram. I should bring that back, by the way. That was you can join, Charlotte. What if we did it together? And the idea was like the world was on fire and all of us were just staring at our phones. So like, what if we all like picked a book that will make us smarter, put our phones down and try to like learn something through this pandemic. And the first few weeks it was going well because like Hawking's like setting up like, all right, so here is an atom and here is the universe and and you're like, yes, I remember some of these words. And then like right around chapter 4 or 5, the wheels fall off. And like I remember doing these live streams and like the viewing numbers just tanked. Like I had a handful of friends that were reading with me. Yeah. And they would text me before the meetings or like, be sure to talk about this. Because there were some smart people that were in my meetings I was doing. Yeah. And they're like, be sure to ask the smart people that join you, like what this meant. And then by about week 4, like all my friends stopped texting me and everyone was out. And I was like still chugging through, like trying to, I don't know. Anyway.
I think we should have the people's book club, because like if we're gonna be on the road so much this fall, like we should carve out 20 minutes to like hop on an Instagram live and be like, here's
that's actually not a horrible idea. I would do that.
It's a pretty good idea, right?
But I do want it to be I love the idea of it being like big brain type stuff where it's like us two idiots are leading the club where we're like, all right, so here's
what we can do. We can find a book on string theory. Yeah, really,
just like really.
I don't know. We'll look into this because I've been reading a lot more recently because I was like, I can't stare at my phone.
I'm reading a book right now called Cadillac Desert. Can't recommend it enough. It is about. It was written in like the 80s or 90s, I think. So it's a little old-ish, but like the themes it's very relevant to today because it's all about the water crisis in the West.
Oh God, yeah.
And it is insane because like the first 100, so like the first half of the book, at least, like I'm only about halfway through, but it is all about like how Los Angeles and California, how the West was settled using reservoirs and like all the politics that went into it, where like LA stole water to like create LA. Like the whole thing is wild.
I'm
It's
all about.
mind-blowing.
Okay, I'll read
Anyway.
that, and then we could have a book club on that.
It's about water wars and all. Anyway, all right, move it. Yeah, we'll have a book club. We should just read a book about cricket, just like literally the rule book of cricket.
There we go. Cricket for dummies.
Cricket. That's about it. I don't know. There's Hard Knocks too. Are you watching Hard Knocks?
You know, I skimmed through the first 2 episodes because I didn't find it. I think I liked the Rams one because I thought that Sean McVay was like a kind of a eccentric guy enough to carry it, and I liked that there were 2 different teams because it really kept my attention a little bit more. The Cowboys one,
Yeah.
I'm interested in Dak's, rehabilitation of his ankle, and I'm interested in the other characters. But it felt a little bit slower to me than
It feels like Jerry
know.
Jones is. I mean, I think he literally is getting like last call on edits and stuff, and it's a little like, yeah. And I'm not
There's
sure.
not a ton. I watched it and I was sort of like, okay, like great
Yeah.
practice, boys.
Yeah.
I
Really.
do have a. Did you watch any of it? Because I have a few things that I took away.
I watched the first one, and then I was gonna watch the last night's episode this
Mhm.
morning, and then like kind of what we're talking about. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I care enough. I'll get around to it. I'll probably watch it in a few days. But the first one, the only notes I had was that Liev Schreiber, first of all, unbelievable narrator, obviously is like perfect for
Incredible.
that job. But it's funny to hear him. Sometimes I picture Liev Schreiber not like reading in a studio into a microphone like what was written down for him, and I picture his narration as like his takes. He's like, when he's like, the Cowboys' offensive line was not good enough last year. That's something that Mike McCarthy, like, and whatever it is, and I just always picture like Leo Schreiber is the one like interjecting his own takes.
Now that you say that, I do too. When he said, I forget what player it was. It was this week's episode. He was like, he certainly has a way with words. I imagine that being like Liev Schreiber's. He was like, this is really how I feel about this man. Like no one scripted this for me. I'm just letting you know. He was my first note as well, because I realized every time when his voice comes on, it is perfect, but it also feels hilarious that he's talking about football. It sounds like he should be narrating Planet Earth or a nature documentary. And then he's like, the blocking was good. And you're like, oh, sorry, it's football. Okay. That was, I also, my other note was that there's always, I love the tropes of Hard Knocks. There's always the overeager rookie. There's always the player coming back from an injury. There's always the sort of controversial player that they give a very human edit to. It really like it follows.
There's always like a coach mantra, like the mojo moments we have this year with Mike McCarthy. There's always something like that where you're like, this is the lamest thing ever, but I don't know.
There's also a coach with a British accent on this year's Hard Knocks for the Cowboys. His name is Arden Dirty, I think. And at one point, Jerry Jones in the episode, the most recent one, the second episode, he goes, he looks like he's from Arkansas, but he sounds like Winston Churchill. And I was like, is that the only Brit you could think of? Like, it was the most unbelievable. I was like, is it because football is similar to war in terms of game plans? Or is this because that's literally the British person that you were
who would be the funniest British person that he named?
Like Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, yeah.
But Winston Churchill is
Susan
really
Boyle. He's like, it sounds like Susan. You're like, what? To Jerry Jones?
That's really good, actually. It's Susan Boyle.
The only other thing I want to say from the first episode that was killing me was I don't know if you saw this, where Jerry Jones, like obviously the McGriddle thing, we talked about that, but Jerry Jones, there was this segment where Jerry Jones is doing the press conference, and he's talking about how badly he wants to win a Super Bowl and all that, and the way they edited it looked like there was no one else talking during the whole thing. So instead, like we know in the press conference, like someone would ask him a question, then he answers it. So the way it's edited is it looks like Jerry Jones is just slowly losing his mind, doing a monologue, talking about how badly he wants to win the Super Bowl, and he's crying, and like no one else is saying anything. And then they'll cut to reporters, and the reporters look almost like bored. Like whoever edited that, it was hysterical. I was dying because like. I understood what was going on, but like if you didn't, it just kind of, I don't know if that makes any sense. Having no one else interject, you're just like, is Jerry Jones just slowly?
It's like he's
Isn't even a
gone down
madness.
this emotional spiral thinking about getting into a Super. Also, I read the NFL website's recap of that episode, and they were like Jerry Jones, a man who is used to getting what he wants. You can see the hardship of 20 years of not winning just etched into his face or something. And I was like, this is like they're writing it like a Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Jones is the patriarch of this fallen dynasty. And I appreciated that.
There's one thing I do respect about Jerry Jones, and it's that he has billions of dollars. He owns the most valued franchise in all of professional sports across the world, probably. I don't know. I haven't updated my Forbes subscription.
That feels right. No, that feels right.
Rankings are now.
CelebrityNetworth.com.
Yeah, what does CelebrityNetworth.com say about the Dallas Cowboys? And if I was him, I would be interested in the team. I would want to win a Super Bowl, Charlotte. I would show up on Sundays for the games, but that's about it. Like I would certainly not be in Oxnard, California at training camp.
You wouldn't be at training camp.
Getting into the nitty-gritty, eating McGriddles and pouring salt and talking to Mike McCarthy about the schemes we're running and all that. I'd be like, dude, figure it out. Win games. If you don't win, I'm going to fire your ass. Go get it.
I'd be like, I'll be in Mallorca.
Yes.
And yeah, I was going to say, I respect his yacht too, to be honest. Like when he did the draft in 2020 from the war room of his yacht, which was just like a room covered entirely in white leather, which could have looked like somewhere they lock people away in straitjackets, but instead looked like, Command Central. I think that there is something very funny about a man who will show up to practice when he could be
anywhere
on
else.
his boat.
Literally anywhere else. Yeah. So I at least respect him for that. He's very hands-on. And I think if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be like, yeah, that's precisely the problem with the franchise. But just as a bystander, I'm just like, dude, I would be doing literally anything else other than going to Oxnard, California for training camp if I was Jerry Jones. In August.
There are so many other places you could be in August. I also think that one of the coaches, and I don't remember his name, looks a lot like Jason Garrett, their former head coach.
Oh,
and
is it
is it tall, skinny white guy? I don't know. Maybe there are multiple of them. Is it Foss? Is it John
Fossil? It's Fossil's son, John Fossil's son. The dude that was the Giants coach, right?
I don't know. I can't keep the Fossils straight, apparently. Because John Fossil was the one who took over from Jeff Fisher when the Rams fired Jeff Fisher. So, it's just like the coaching centipede goes on and on.
It's John Fossil, and then what was his dad's name? I thought he was John Fossil.
I think isn't that him? He's a special teams coach.
Wait, he wasn't the coach of wasn't his
Jim was his dad.
Jim is who I'm thinking of. Yes, there you have it. All
right. But John, I never put this together. He looks a lot like Jason Garrett. So maybe Jerry Jones has a type.
Is that it? There's also this going on in the world. Maybe we should talk about this a little bit and flesh this out. Speaking of NFL training camps and NFL preseason, a man by the name of Timothy Edward. I don't know what his middle name is. What's his middle name? Take a guess. Tim Tebow's middle name. What's his middle name?
Matthew.
Yeah, that seems right.
I mean, come on. What
Edward,
else could it be?
It can't be Edward. It's Tim.
It's Tim. It's either Matthew, Paul, John,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
There you go.
Acts Romans. Maybe that's his middle. Tim. Yep, it is Tim. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Acts. Richard. Wow.
I didn't see that coming. That feels a little too Anglophile to me.
Wow. Timothy Richard.
Is that his dad's name, maybe?
My computer's acting up. What's going on here? Robert. His dad is named Robert Ramsey, Tebow II.
Robert Ramsey Tebow?
Yeah. Pamela Elaine and Robert Ramsey are his.
Okay. Well, anyway, Timothy Richard Tebow.
Timothy Richard Tebow is no longer on the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has been cut. This is a story that has
ricocheted around the internet.
Ripples are yeah. The NFL will never be the same again. I don't know what else. How do we want to talk about this show?
We want to talk about this way because Tim Tebow is a figure in sports where I don't know that I've ever met someone who didn't have an opinion about Tim Tebow. When I tweeted I had that tweet we talked about a few months ago when he joined the Jaguars, where I said that and I'm only quoting my own tweet here because there's a point to it. I promise. I'm not just telling you that I tweeted this. I said, Tim Tebow's proof that if you follow your dreams, you'll win a Heisman, end up as a failed quarterback on the Broncos, and then join the Mets minor league organization until you're a tight end with the Jack. Just sort of like a complete non-take on it because everybody was coming out with takes. And I had so many people mad at me. They were like, "Are you kidding me? Like, he won a playoff game. He wasn't failed." And then there were also people being like, "How dare you make like he's just an entitled guy who failed up and you're saying he followed his dreams." And I was like, "Oh my God." So you had this idea, which I love, is that we flip a coin and one of us has to defend him and one of us has to denounce him because
I think
can go either way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the reason people were hot at you, Charlotte, is because you have to pick a side. That's true of a lot of things, but it's especially true of Tim Tebow. You can't be on the fence and just be like, I don't know, the guy. Like when Tim Tebow gets signed by the Jaguars, you can't just say, who cares, he's going to get cut in mid-August anyway before he ever plays a game, which is exactly what happened. If you say that, everyone's like, that's boring. Give me your take. Is he is he the
like,
worst
no, that
or
is
is he a hero?
You're like,
Which
that's
one
my
is it?
take.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, though, it's not. That's not allowed.
We need a take. So to do this, we're gonna flip a coin, figure out which one of us is going to be. No, I actually don't, but I do have I have the original Space Jam. It's in I swear. I opened my drawer to find a coin. I have no coins. I have the Space Jam soundtrack with my name with Titus written on it and my dad's handwriting.
CD.
The CD ROM.
That's the
or not
purest
ROM.
thing
Yeah.
I have seen. That is a CD-ROM. That is
an actual CD. I guess not
That's
CD.
the soundtrack. That's not a DVD.
It is the soundtrack from Space Jam. The Space Jam soundtrack. There it is.
Oh my God, that just made my day. Okay.
There's the back for proof.
But be very careful. Don't scratch that. That's
so I have no idea why this is in my. What other goodies we got in here? Figure this out.
Yeah, see what else.
I got receipts. I got an old cell phone in here. I don't know if that's
what. Let me see it. Oh wow. Okay.
A Galaxy S9 Samsung.
Oh, did you have green bubbles for a while?
I did. I was a green bubble guy. I don't know what else is why. Anyway, we'll flip the Space Jam soundtrack. Do you want to go with the artwork as your thing or wait? So this will be for you. Let's say if this comes up, the picture, the actual artwork comes up. You are pro Tebow.
Okay.
And you're saying that his existence on the Jaguars was actually good, and here's why, and everyone should leave him alone. And if it comes up with the mirrored side where the actual data, you know what I mean? Then you're anti-Tebow. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna flip it in here. You got the artwork.
Am I pro Tebow?
You're pro Tebow. Go ahead, Charlotte. You want to go first?
Okay. Yeah, I do. Listen. Anyone who says that Tim Tebow has failed, that he didn't deserve this opportunity, doesn't understand what it means to follow your dreams. Here is a man who won the Heisman. Do you know how hard it is to win a playoff game in the NFL? Today's ring culture, everyone's like, you're nothing unless you've won. But really, think about how difficult it is to win in the playoffs. Tebow did it. He gets this horrible reputation, and then everyone makes fun of him for going to play baseball when he is really just pursuing another athletic dream. And think what guts it takes to do something that you might not be the best at, that everybody is going to be talking about and dragging your name through the mud when all you're trying to do is hit dingers and make the Mets a better organization and be selfless in their pursuit of a World Series. Finally, he could have brought glory to New York. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So you have to admire the man for going to Florida to play football once again in a position he's never played. Everyone's making fun of the way he blocked, but if you think about it, at least he was out there. He put his body on the line. What have you done for your NFL team?
Wrong. Everything you just said, I cannot disagree with more. You talk about him following his dreams, Charlotte. Pick a dream, Tim. What is your dream? Is your dream your ministry? Is it playing quarterback? Is it you're looking at me in a straight face and you're telling me that Tim Tebow's dream is to play tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Get out of here. It's not. Tim Tebow is about one man and one man only, and it's himself. That's all he's ever cared about. He wants to be in the spotlight. Why can this man not just let it go, Charlotte? Let the dream die. We don't even know what the dream is. We don't even know. The dream for Tim Tebow is to have people talking about him. That's the only dream he's ever cared about. He's a phony. He's a fraud. And frankly, I think the fact that he was ever on the Jaguars is a slap in the face to all the true football players that are grinding, that are giving it their all day in and day out, would do anything just to get one look, just one opportunity, one moment. Would you capture or just let it slip? Palms just okay. Sorry, got a little carried away. Everyone that wants just that one moment in time where like one person knows their name, one person gives them a shot. And instead, we're all talking about Tim Tebow trying to block as a tight end on the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. It's ridiculous. The whole thing has just been a publicity charade farce. I was pro Tim Tebow for a very long time up until we flipped this coin. And now I find myself in a position where I throw my hands up and I say, enough is enough. If this guy really truly cared about all the things he says he cares about, he would have left when he got cut the first time, and he would have seen the writing on the wall. Everyone told him all along, Tim, you're not good enough to play quarterback in this league. He said, I disagree. I think I won a Heisman. And we're like, yeah, you won a Heisman in the past, Tim. That was the past. The future, there's no place for you. Give it up. Let other people play and ride off into the sunset and go do good things with all your money and your ministry and all that, because that's what really matters. And if it matters so much, Tim, why don't you go do that?
Mark, I cannot believe that a Midwestern man like yourself, who was brought up never to give up, to chase your dreams, to follow your heart, and look, that you can say that Tebow was doing something other than being selfless. He went back to Florida. He is a Florida man who went back to Florida to help his people. It turns out that he can't block to save his life, but man, he was out there.
I'm going to help my people with chop blocks in the preseason.
I think like, okay, we're back to regular who we are. I honestly think that I could have blocked better than Tim Tebow blocked.
But honestly, I mean,
that felt great, by the way. It felt really nice because I know everyone was waiting for me to just like tear this guy apart for being entitled to a chance. And I liked having the chance to like play the other side. Sports media feels good sometimes.
I prepared for the pro Tebow take. I really thought I was going to end up being the pro guy. And then when it was anti, I didn't know really, it took me it caught me off guard.
If I'm being honest, same, because my cons list, like my speech prepared for the cons was really very detailed. So I just said the opposite of everything on my cons. Hey, all I'm saying, Mark, I think we might have a future in this whole sports media thing.
Dude, this is how
Give us our FS1 show already.
We should do this with other stuff. That was fun. We should have done this with Simone Biles. We should have done it. And then
that's actually honestly like that is probably the funniest way to talk about anything, because like the whole point is that we have devolved into a binary. There's either right or wrong. You're either right or you're wrong. And when we try to talk about things with nuance, it's actually funnier if we just let's have a segment.
Well, sometimes
let's find something next week to debate club over.
The funniest part about Tebow and Simone Biles both is that in my mind, the nuance isn't even. I mean, Biles is certainly much more of a impactful discussion given the stakes are higher and whatever. But like ultimately, I don't even think there needs to be nuance. I think it's just like this happened. This is a thing that happened. I don't think it's really like Simone Biles is like I can't do this right now, and we're like, okay, cool. That's it. There's
right. It's like you should really just accept it at that, and like it shouldn't have spun into this.
And the same thing with the Tebow. It's like Tim Tebow's cut. Your thoughts? And I'm like, sounds like Tim Tebow's cut. That's my thoughts.
Right.
It's also a guy that's never played tight end, kind of sucked at tight end. I mean, I don't know what else.
It's also kind of thing where also it's just like he didn't end up taking anyone's spot. Like maybe he took someone's spot for a chance to try out, which that sucks.
It's disgusting and immoral, and I have a lot of problems with. Yes, I agree, Sure. I don't know. Me personally, I have cared about. I have famously, and you can check the tapes on this. I have cared about fourth string tight ends going back years and years. Every year in the preseason, I'm breaking down which fourth string tight ends are getting opportunities.
Yeah, I read that Grantland article in 2014.
Yes, so this disgusts me that Tim Tebow is taking a spot from a guy that I definitely cared about before Tim Tebow.
Do you know what though? Do you know what blows my mind about this whole thing? Which isn't this isn't a take. I don't have a take about it. I'm just astonished. You could not pay me to go out somewhere and earnestly try to be good at something that I know I will not be even close to the
Yeah.
best at. Like, I want to know, I would love to ask Tim, what was your end game? And not in a PR way, like in just like I would love to hear the psychology behind what he thinks that he was going to get out of doing this. Like, is it just that he does want his name to be in the mix? Because if so, then
Yeah.
like great. But I think I don't know whether to admire or not admire the fact that he's trying to be a tight end. Like, he knew
Right.
it wasn't going to work.
Right.
Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Right. And I guess my point, like when I was doing the shtick about hating
Yeah.
him, and then I heard myself talking, I was like, "It's actually not the worst point in the world."
No,
If
it's
Tim Tebow
I actually thought that you were onto a lot of things.
if Tim Tebow wasn't an athlete and say he was like a quote unquote entertainer, and we had this
Mhm.
like entertainer who was hot in 2008, and now fast forward to 2021, and this guy is like trying to rap and he's trying to like star in a reality show and he's just like doing too much. We would all kill him. We'd be like, dude, like what are you even trying to do here? You're like so obvious. And he starts like a YouTube channel where he's doing this, and then he's like
Right.
got this podcast. And it's like, dude, no one cares. Leave it up. Like we would all kill him for it. But Tim Tebow is we're I guess like a hero for not giving up his dream. But like in all honesty,
Yeah.
his dream was not to play for the Jaguars.
As
So
I as
what is the end game? That is a good question. What is the end game? I guess the
like,
end
I
game.
really don't understand.
Yeah. Well, what does he do next?
Yeah.
What is next? What what
Okay,
what does
so
Tim Tebow have up his sleeve? Where do you go from here if you're Tim Tebow?
well, we are gonna do something today that we've never done before, which is that we each have a different list. A different top 5 list because
Mhm.
I did the homework wrong, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I thought that we were coming up with the top 5 things that Tim Tebow did next, when in reality we were doing something different, which we will get to in a minute. And I'm not going to spoil it. That Mark's list is Mark did the homework right, but we're going to
Mhm.
do mine anyway because it ties into this. And then Mark, you can tell me what I got wrong. The
Okay.
list that I did was the top 5. If I were Tim Tebow's PR person, if I
Oh,
were in
yeah.
charge of rehabbing his image, of being like, here's what you have to do next, these are the top 5 options I would offer him. And I've ranked them. So this is like the last one that I would suggest. I'd be like, Tim, I think you should try being a golf pro,
Whoa.
because he could hear me out. I've thought this through. He could stay in Florida.
Yeah.
He could work at a country club near Gainesville. So he would be a hero. He would be a huge draw for the country club. So he could probably get a lot of money
Yeah.
from sponsorships, in terms of just and as a golf pro, like, I'm sure he knows how to play golf decently enough. Like, you can get away with not really knowing how to play golf. No offense to all the golf pros out there, but like, if you a lot of your job is sort of hanging out, like, you need to be good at talking to people. And I think that he would be good at that. He
Yeah.
can be charming on television. And that he would bring he could turn it into sort of a shtick, and he could like tweet as Tim Tebow the golf pro. And I think that even people like me who aren't his hugest fans
Yeah.
would begrudgingly like it.
Okay. My one question is, how does he stay in the public? Like just tweeting? How do we keep his Q score up with him running a golf
Well, that leads
course?
me to my 4th point,
Okay, go
which
ahead.
I think actually ties into the 5th one. The 4th option is he could go on a reality show, or he could start his own. And I think that there's a lot to work with if you
Okay,
did a
yeah.
reality show on Tim Tebow, the golf pro. It also rhymes.
There you go. To the other golf pro.
So, either that, or he could like really pivot and do I mean, I don't think The Bachelor, I think he's engaged or married or something, but if he I'm trying,
Yeah.
like, he could start doing like cooking shows or something. He could really, I think he needs to either throw everyone for a loop or like lean into football, and these are the throw people for a loop ones.
I like that. The reality show of him running a golf course and teaching people how to play golf.
You'd watch that,
I would watch
right?
that. I actually
I
would,
mean,
yeah.
that'd be pretty good.
Well, no, what if like one of the elements of him being the golf pro in his reality show is anger management? That he deals with people that are like losing their minds on golf courses and cussing and throwing clubs, and he has to like calm them down and be like, Jesus still loves you.
Yes,
Let's not lose
exactly.
sight of that. Um, let's channel our anger elsewhere. Like let's figure out, and he helps people find their zen.
I love that. He'd be like, take the golf club hold it to the sky for the lightning rod of your anger,
Yes.
channel it through, let it ground you, and
Yes.
move on.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
And
pretty
we
good.
hear about like 1,000 golfers that have been electrocuted on Tim Tebow's golf course. Like,
That really got me there. Sorry.
oh man.
Every once in a while when we do this show, I feel like I break for a minute. Like, we'll be really on and then you say
I-
something and I'm like, this isn't podcast Charlotte anymore.
I
It's
see
just
the
like,
headline now, like you and I are coming on in 3 years to do a show. And I'm like, Charlotte, how about this headline? 7 people electrocuted to death playing a round of golf with Tim Tebow.
we'd
What
be
are
like,
what are your thoughts?
we called that. We really called it. Okay, the third thing I think he could do is become a Peloton instructor.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great one. That is a great one for the same reason, because he's like Peloton instructors are sitting there motivating. I don't want to step on your. I'll let you like. But
No,
I just
that's
got
exactly
excited because the motivation, the positivity at all times.
Yes.
He's already in great shape. He's got the look down of
I was
he
hoping
checks
that
all
you
the
would
boxes.
see. I wanted you to take this one actually because I was
Yeah.
like, if you can see it as clearly as I can see it, it feels
Yeah.
kind of like a no-brainer. I do think that another thing that he would have Peloton instructors, they get kind of famous. Like people get obsessed
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
And I think that he could have he could be like the Jesus Peloton instructor
Yes.
guy who, even if you're not Christian, you're sort of like, I mean, I have my
Charlotte,
best rides with him. You know what I mean?
Are you nuts? Like I'm 100%. If I can go to church and do a Peloton at the same time, I can kill 2 birds with one stone. Done. Get it
I
done.
mean, that's also a great freaking idea, Mark.
Yeah. It's
We
like
should come up with religious exercise.
yes.
I'll lead the Jewish services. You can lead the Christian ones.
Yes. That maybe yeah, don't let Tim Tebow do this. I'll do this.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You preach from the saddle. That's they call it. But I mean that works. Like that I wake up on Sunday morning, it's like, the church service I usually go to starts in an hour and a half. I wanted to get a bike ride in. What do I do? What do I do? Boom. Answer. I take a Tim Tebow class and I skip church.
As you said that, I see like the 90s infomercial where like someone wakes up out of bed and they're like yawning. They're like, and look at their watch and it's like 10:29 and they're like, and then it
What
goes
do I
like,
do?
why choose church or
Yeah,
exercise
yeah.
when you could do
It's
both?
both.
And then it's like the guy pedaling and like praying at the same time.
Who is your Peloton? I do not own a Peloton, but I have
Mhm.
had access to Pelotons before. I've done like probably 10 to 20 rides in my entire life. So I have an
Okay.
answer. But who
Okay.
is your have you done a Peloton ride? Do you have a
No, I've never done
Oh, you never even done one? Well, you
I
said
feel like
they
that's
get famous. I was wondering if there's one that like
No,
people get
no.
obsessed with. Are you obsessed with any of them?
I know someone who knows someone who is one of the famous people, Alex.
Oh, which one's Alex?
I don't know, but I
Wait,
know that
Alex Peloton.
his name has been brought up to me as someone that
Hold on.
is in the orbit of.
I know him if I saw him. Hang on. Alex.
He's very famous.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
love Alex. I didn't know his name was Alex. I love Alex. Alex is awesome.
I didn't know anything about him except I know that he's famous and I know that he's
Oh, he's awesome. I love Alex.
Yeah, so I also think that maybe I could like, is there any way we can get a brand partnership going with Peloton where I could try to be an instructor? Because I'm not terribly good at biking and I think that my motivational things would get super weird really quickly. And I would just want to see how long people hung in there with me. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
what are
yeah.
the limits of my farce, you know?
We check
Anyway.
it after every ride, and it's just like I guess we could probably do that with this podcast. It's one of the guys at Fox is going to email you and be like, actually, we noticed that at the 17-minute mark, whenever
Like, anytime
Charlotte
you
starts
start talking about
yeah.
airplanes, everybody checks out.
My Peloton, my guy is Dennis. I'm one of Dennis's menaces.
I'm gonna be honest, it means nothing to me.
Dennis used to have a man bun. He cut it off. He is very corny. He's the guy who sings into the camera, like he lip syncs the songs as he's writing and looks into the camera and like dances. Like he's very, very corny. But if you ever take a Dennis ride, Charlotte,
Mhm.
the moment you take a Dennis ride, you'll call me immediately because you'll be like, I
get it now.
Yeah, like that's the guy that you're trying to be.
Can we put a rider in our college football tour that we need a Peloton?
We need Peloton.
Along with the equipment?
In
You'd
every
be like,
hotel
"That's
room, I need a Peloton.
hilarious." I
Anyway,
okay, well, I'll try to do
moving
a
on.
Dennis run. All right.
Yeah.
My number 2 is he should be an NFL broadcaster because I think that if he is surprisingly great like Tony Romo, because Tebow has been on television, like he knows how to talk on
Yeah.
camera. He's not bad at it. And he's always done sort of college football stuff, but I think that if he goes right to the big leagues and he can be
Yeah.
self-deprecating about like, well, my time as a tight end, I think that he could really rehab his image.
Yeah. I think I agree, but there's something about it. Like if you played, I guess like maybe I'm projecting too much, but like there's like there if you played, people want him to be a college commentator because he won the Heisman. So like when he
Mhm.
talks, they're willing to listen to him. I'm worried that like if he's talking about the NFL, people are like, "Who cares? This guy sucked." But then also, I sucked at basketball, and I talk about college basketball forever.
No, 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 no. I
So
think
maybe I'm
if
just
you
like projecting my own insecurities onto this Tim Tebow NFL broadcaster situation.
Yeah, well, okay, first of all, that's always a possibility. Second of all, I think that you might be right, but I wanted to say something different from just college
It would be
football
hilarious though if
broadcaster.
he only talked about his like he was an NFL broadcaster and he never once mentioned like quarterback play, you know? And like Jim Nance throws it to
He
him.
just talked about tight ends as though he was like the expert on tight ends.
Yeah, they're like Jim Nance throws it to him and they're like, what is Mahomes thinking here, Tim? He's like, I'm not really sure, but Kelce on this play I think is
He was like, honestly, never been there. Couldn't put myself in his shoes. However, well, this brings me to my number 1 thing, which is that I think that, and this is I'm serious about this. I think that if Tim Tebow wants to salvage what is left of his athletic reputation, he needs to become an assistant college football coach at Florida.
Yeah.
That's it.
I,
Like
I I
that is
think
the
you're right.
ultimate.
Yeah. I think he comes back and I don't know what he's coaching, but it can't be like offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. It needs to be like something very specialized and like sideline coach or just like he's literally the minister of culture. That's what Matthew McConaughey is for Texas. And then Tim
Yeah.
comes back and he's like, I'm the minister of culture. And they're like, oh God. What does that mean?
They're like, ah.
What if Tim
Yeah.
Tebow is just like the press conference guy and like Dan Mullen's the coach at Florida, I believe. He
Mhm.
after games, Dan Mullen doesn't go out there and give press conferences. He just lets Tim Tebow do it. He's like the press
What if
secretary.
Tebow becomes like the SID at
Yeah,
Florida? And he's fielding all the media requests, and he's like, "No, Charlotte, you can't talk to the mascot."
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what they have to do. They have to deal with me asking if I can talk to the mascot.
Yes, yes.
But so yeah, is there anything I missed? What would you have put on there?
I think the move if I'm Tebow is I think he clearly like wants to be an athlete, and I don't know what's fueling that. If it's his internal desire, but like, what's the end game? Because if he was never going to be one of the greatest tight ends, and like so I don't. Was he trying to win a Super Bowl? I don't know what's motivating him to try baseball and football, whatever, other than
Mhm.
just like he enjoys competition and enjoys being an athlete. And if he's trying to marry the idea of like wanting to be competitive and also like just win something and he just has the desire to win, why not go the Lolo Jones route and be the male Lolo Jones? He already had the virgin box checked forever, which was like what Lolo Jones was proud of. And just try every sport in the Olympics, Charlotte. And he's just like our Olympian
Wow.
who's just like throwing at he's in Winter Olympic. You look up Tim Tebow is doing snowboarding now, and you're like, what the hell?
He's
And then
doing like aerial ski jumping
yes,
where he just leans forward on the skis.
he's doing every Olympic sport because I think one way he wins with that too is that he gets all the haters, all the Tim Tebow haters out there have to cheer for him because he's representing the United States. So like all the people in this country who hate Tim Tebow, suddenly it's like, listen, man, if he wins, he brings glory to the country and we beat
Yeah.
China and Russia. And like, that's pretty sick. And they're like, that's
You
a good point.
can't not cheer for the
Yeah.
American athlete.
Right. Right. So
I
I
mean,
I
even
think
though
it's
we had
that.
a whole long podcast a few weeks ago
Yeah,
about
I know.
how everybody is. But no, I think you're right. I think that the only other one that I didn't put on there that I think probably could be an interesting move, but it doesn't seem really like what he's trying to go for is WWE.
Yeah.
But
That would
but it didn't feel, like I would put Golf Pro above
Yeah.
wrestling superstar, to be honest. I just don't know that Tebow has the
He's kind of like
grit.
he's cut from the same like I feel like he's too John Cena already, you know? Like he'd be
Mhm.
redundant. His
Totally.
character is basically just John Cena.
But like
That's the
John Cena, who was
yeah.
never a heel.
Yeah. He's just
Like he's only like the good guy.
yeah. That's
So
um
anyway, so
gun to your
shit.
head. Gun to your head. Has Tim Tebow been on Dancing with the Stars already?
Oh.
I don't know if he has. Doesn't it feel like he has?
I want to say no, but I think he might have been.
I
This
honestly
is
don't know.
either way. Like if we're this unsure, then he might as well have been.
Yeah, yeah. He
Like I
might
don't
have
know.
been. Yeah.
I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna double check this. Tim Tebow Dancing with the Stars. I can't.
There's no way to
I can't.
know.
Tim Tebow passed on Dancing with the
Oh, he
Stars. That's
passed.
in
Okay.
2012. He was offered it.
Did that get intercepted too? He tried to pass on Dancing with the Stars. It was intercepted, and he showed up for night. He ended up on the show. Oh man.
Okay.
Hey, I want to put a bow on the
Yeah.
Tim Tebow discussion. It's time
Yeah.
for a game that we love around these parts called CelebrityNetWorth.com.
Yes!
Who's worth more? I went to the trouble of doing some research for you. As you know, Charlotte, I have been on an OC kick. I've been watching the OC, making my way through the OC. I've also been playing a lot of Tony Hawk video games because Tony Hawk's been in my face a lot
Tell
with
me
commercials
what's like how's 2004 treating you?
well, that was the point. I was going to say, so my CelebrityNetwork.com is very mid 2000s oriented.
This is my wheelhouse.
Yeah, right,
Okay,
exactly.
let's
So
go.
I wanted to set it up as like that's where my mind is. Like I'm very much in 2004 mindset. So I went with a lot of those. So I forget how we play this. Do we say Tim? Yeah, you have to know how much Tim Tebow is worth, or do you want to guess first, or should we do?
No. When you did Denny Hamlin, this is a real throwback. We haven't done this for a while. I think you did it with Denny Hamlin, and you told me, according to Celebrity Net Worth, how much he was worth.
And then you have to tell me.
I had to guess. I had to guess, and then you tell me, and then we do it compared. So
okay,
I'm guessing, according to CelebrityNetWorth.com, Tim Tebow is worth $24 million.
Wow. He is worth, according to the fine people at CelebrityNetwork.com, $5 million. Sounds like he does need you to be his PR person. You would get him up there making 20.
I'm shocked he didn't get more endorsements, to be honest.
Well,
I was gonna say 11 was as low as I was gonna go.
Yeah, it's 5.
We need to meet the people. We should put in a PR request to CelebrityNetwork.com and be like, "Would you like to come on our podcast?
Please come on the podcast. Please
we would love to know your methods.
Talk about your like if I could choose between KFC's secret blend of herbs and spices or CelebrityNetWorth.com's algorithm, as far as like knowing the secret, I'm taking the Celebrity.
Come on. I also are you
that
on
algorithm?
There? Like,
what if that algorithm's worth like $100 million? You go.
Is there like if you Google yourself, does like Mark Titus net worth come up?
Oh,
because
God.
I think that in jobs like these, people think we make way more money than we do.
I feel like I'm gonna I feel like me doing this to myself.
I'll do it.
Like,
hold on.
Put me through a wormhole that like I will never
it.
be able to get out of.
Mark Titus net worth. Because you're
There's
worth
no
$16 million. I'm like, do you know what these jobs actually? Okay, I'm doing mine. I don't think I'm gonna have one.
Million?
Yeah, that's absolutely hilarious.
We're so much more than that.
It says
how disrespectful.
Yeah. Let's see if is there another website? No. Okay, I'm doing Charlotte Wilder net worth. I'm apparently worth $1 million, which is also very funny.
That is I think someone must have saw that I was worth $16 and
also,
misread it as.
Oh my God, I should not have Googled this because according to HeightZone.com, there are 10 facts on Fox Sports journalist Charlotte Wilder, HeightZone.com.
Oh no, Charlotte, this is bad. Get out, exit.
No, this is creepy. They actually know a lot about me. All right. Anyway, moving on.
All right. So Tim Tebow is worth $5 million according to CelebrityNetwork.com. Number one on the list, you have to tell me. The lead singer of Yellow Card, his name is Ryan Key.
Oh,
Also,
yeah,
I'm starting
Ocean
with him.
Avenue, baby.
I'm starting with him because Yellow Card's from Jacksonville as well. Tim Tebow, Jacksonville.
I didn't know that.
There's the tie. So the lead singer of Yellow Card, Ryan Key, is he worth more or less than Tim Tebow?
Okay, so first of all, Yellow Card, Ocean Avenue was my AAM profile. The lyrics to that for a while. There's a place on Ocean Avenue where I used to sit and talk with you. Don't worry about it. I think he's worth more.
He's worth less. $3
What?
million.
No! Oh, that breaks my heart.
Yeah. It breaks your heart that he has $3 million. Oh no, poor guy.
Capitalism, baby. All right, next.
Next on the list, Misha Barton, star of the OC.
More.
$2.5 million.
Okay, this is an absolute garbage
in your
list.
brain. Steve-O.
More.
$2.5 million.
What?
Less.
Tim Tebow is richer than all these icons?
Clay Aiken. Did he win? He lost, right? Clay Aiken lost American Idol. Ruben Studdard won. Yeah, Ruben Studdard won. Clay Aiken, runner-up, one of the more famous runner-ups in American Idol history.
I want to say more, but now I feel like the whole game is that these people are all worth less.
So what's your answer?
I want to stick to my guns and say more, but I don't want to be wrong. So
you're saying more. It is more. $6 million.
Okay. Wow.
But it's very close.
Okay. I am upset now that the lead singer of Yellow Card is worth less than Clay Aiken.
He's worth half. He's worth half of what Clay Aiken, according to CelebrityNetWorth.com,
right.
who is never wrong. Is never wrong.
Broken system.
Shaggy.
More.
Shaggy, famous for hits such as "It Wasn't Me."
An Angel.
Yes, $14 million.
Yeah, Shaggy. He was in a Super Bowl commercial. They pay you for that.
Tim Tebow won a playoff game. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, come
on. Kevin Federline.
Oh, less.
$1.5 million.
I would think that he would have a little bit more money, but maybe
I did too. Like part
Brady
of me thought
conservatorship cut off his alimony or something.
When I typed in Kevin Federline, I was like, either this is going to be like $30 or like 400 million, and there's no in between.
Like 1.5 is sort of a weird number, but okay, all right.
Kate Gosselin, famous for Johnny Kate plus 8. Yes.
The amount that I know about like D-level celebrity reality stars from the 2000s is concerning.
More or less than $5 million though. Less. 500,000 according to CelebrityNetworth.com.
That's like not enough to put her 8 kids through college.
I feel what is the threshold for CelebrityNetworth.com where they just take you off the site?
No. They'll embarrass you. They'll drag you to they'll be like, Charlotte Wilder has $1,000, and I'll be like, oh. That is a tough look.
Wesley Snipes has negative $37 million that he owes the IRS.
Exactly. No, they are not protecting anybody, Mark. They are gonna just.
All right, I got a handful more. Michelle Branch.
More,
definitely more. Has to be more.
Oh, come on. Let me guess.
Okay.
That's either 15 or 50.
It's 15. I'm sorry.
Damn it.
I shouldn't have said.
She's my go-to karaoke song.
Flavor Flav.
More.
Okay. You answered that quickly. $2 million less.
What? He had the Flavor of Love. He had a reality show.
But he also might not be responsible with his money, Charlotte. So
that's a good point.
I
forget that. I see. In my mind, people are rich if they made a lot of money.
Yes.
Like in my mind, it's like they don't spend it; they put it right into a lovely little bank account, and it appreciates.
I am curious what this algorithm is, how they can figure out how reckless guys are with their money and whatever.
I just also want to be clear that your net worth was not on CelebrityNetworth.com, so we still have faith in the organization.
The other websites aren't reputable, but CelebrityNetworth.com is
never wrong.
Chad Michael Murray or Tim Tebow, who is worth more?
More. Chad Michael Murray.
$4 million for Chad Michael Murray. You're like heartbroken then.
I'm really upset. I thought I wanted all these people to be just like loaded because, you know, like that's maybe it's because that's the age that I was when I was like, I want success. Like, if you're successful once, you should be successful always. And now I'm like the age that these people were when they were making money. And I'm just like watching my future slip away. Like all the yachts that I was going to buy are never going to materialize.
I love
think
that.
I'm projecting.
I love you piling on people that like crap all over billionaires, which like I can't get enough of, and I think they deserve it, whatever. But like Bezos goes to space on his penis, and everyone's like, screw this guy, screw his billions,
And I'm like,
whatever.
yeah, screw this guy.
And you're like, yeah, screw this guy, and you're with everyone. Why is he making so much money when Chad Michael Murray is only making $4 million, and everyone looks at you like, what, dude? You're worried about?
I know everyone's like, Bezos goes to space. He could solve healthcare. He could solve the climate crisis if he just gave that money to. And I'm like, he could make Chad Michael Murray rich, and he's going to space.
Do you understand that Misha Barton is only worth 2.5 million?
2.5?
The guy
yellow card, whose name I don't even know.
I have two more on the list. Okay. Frankie Muniz.
Oh, he is less.
Frankie Muniz. How do you say Muniz?
Muniz? Mooney? Frankie Mooney?
Frankie Buscemi is worth $30 million according to CelebrityNetwork.com. So if you see
what was he in?
If you see him at a bar in West Hollywood, Charlotte, go introduce yourself.
Oh yeah,
he was Malcolm in the Middle.
Frankie Malcolm in the Middle. Oh, yeah, see, I got him confused with. Never mind.
Okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. Okay, right.
Finally, the last one, Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, they don't strike me as being particularly great at saving, so I'm going to say less.
They are worth astronomically more. The group is worth $30 million. Insane Clown Posse, and then each individual guy, if you search, I'm not going to say their names, whatever their stupid clown posse juggalo names are. Each guy is worth $13 million in the group.
So remember how you said you were going to cheer me up in this episode?
Yeah. Chad Michael Murray, $4 million, and then Insane Clown Posse, 30.
Is there no justice in this sweet world?
Capitalism sucks.
Capitalism blows. That is your first. Like, if Chad Michael Murray is worth less than Tim Tebow, like all hope is lost.
Go to an anti-capitalism rally, and your sign just says Chad Michael Murray deserves more.
Do you know what I did? I'm not going to tell the story. I'll tell you.
Tell me off there. The only other thing I wanted to hit before we get out of here is Travis Kelce shaving his beard. Your thoughts?
Yes, please. My main thought, to be honest, Mark, is that I didn't realize he had a beard until he shaved it. If you had asked me before this week, does Travis Kelce have a beard? I would have said no, because it just looked like his face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he shaved it, and I was like, oh, that looks like, a youth minister.
Yeah, how jarring is, because I guess the big if you were to boil down the reaction into one simple the consensus, I guess is the word I'm looking for, was that this is horrifying, that Travis Kelce was a handsome man, then he shaved his face, he is no longer handsome, he is terrifying to a lot of people. What say you?
I don't agree with that. I don't either. I think he's a good-looking guy. I think he's lovely. I mean, I've talked to him we once rode a roller coaster together, which is a bizarre turn of events, but it was actually a roller coaster inside the Mall of America, which is
perfect.
Perfect, yes. And I've interviewed him a few times. He's also always been lovely, and the beard didn't seem to be like the source of all of his powers or whatever. I think he looks good. He looks different. He does look more like I will say he looks like a suburban dad a little bit, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, he looks like he's done playing football and now he's coaching his 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's showing up to practice, and yeah.
Yeah, like he's a money manager in Nashville.
Right. My immediate reaction to this though was I cared less about what he looks like in that discussion, and I cared more about like, what is the branding play here? Because Travis Kelce's up to something. I smell it. I see it. I don't know if anyone else sees it. There's something going on here. And I say that because a month ago, you might remember, he just out of nowhere drops the bomb that like his name is not Kelce, it's Kells.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Kells, and
Oh, so
everyone
there's like
called
a
him Kelsey.
transformation
Yeah, and
going
I'm
on here.
curious what the hell he has up his sleeve. I don't think we've seen the last of Travis Kelce pulling these shenanigans. I think there's an obvious playbook that he's got where he's like, all right, so in July I'm gonna hit him with the Kells. August I'm gonna shave the beard. What September hold? I don't know, Charlotte, but I'm
You
on you,
know,
Travis. I see
that
it.
checks out. That checks out because I emailed his agent. I emailed his rep well, first of all, I asked if Travis would come on the podcast, but that was yesterday afternoon, and she has not emailed me back.
Not responded.
I said if he can't come on the podcast, could we get a statement from him about the beard?
Mm-hmm.
And she, she's always emailed me back in the past, so I get the sense that maybe Travis is
Whoa.
trying to duck the story.
What are they hiding from? Whoa.
One might very well wonder.
Whoa.
So we got a
We gotta
did
figure
not
that.
return request for comment from Travis Kelce on the beard. So we're breaking news here, Mark, as far as I'm concerned.
When the other thing I thought of when I saw he shaved his beard, I thought of our producer Jim Cunningham, who when I got my haircut sent me the Jim Morrison quote that said some of the worst mistakes in my life were haircuts. And
Jim,
he sent me that, and I was like, "You son of a bitch! You're so that's so true." And I felt that way about Travis Kelce. That just sometimes like every guy goes through it. If you any man that's ever grown out his beard, cuts it or you grow out your hair, whatever, you cut it because you're like, I'm sick of this, I gotta get rid of it, and then you look in the mirror and you immediately regret it. And you're like, what have I done? This is a horrible
I mean,
mistake.
I don't have a beard, but I have nightmares that someone cuts my ponytail off. So
We've talked
I don't know
about
what
this,
that.
right?
Yeah, we have.
Because I was like, what is the recourse? Like, can you sue that person if you
Right. Oh yeah. Oh God, we
fell
have.
asleep and I just like cut your hair?
I also
Is that
dreamt last
assault? I
night.
think it's assault, right?
Yeah, that is assault, but I don't think I can file charges. Last night I dreamt that our whole team, our whole podcast team, and the people we work with were waiting for me to play beach volleyball, and you guys were all at the beach, but I couldn't find my pants. And so I was looking for, I didn't have any pants anywhere, and it got dark by the time I found them, and I finally made it out to the beach to where you guys were waiting for
Whoa.
me in the parking lot, and you were like, well, it's too late. You ruined the whole thing.
Is that a recurring? Do you have recurring dreams?
No, that was the
That
first time I woke up like.
That's a recurring dream I have, is that I'm late to something, and it's almost always like getting ready for a basketball game or something. That like I forgot
Weird.
my shoes at home. Like I'm in the locker room getting ready, and we're getting ready to go warm up. And I'm like, damn it, I left my shoes at home. And I go home and I got stuck in traffic, and
Yeah,
then there's a parade coming through that I have to like go this way, and then and like this stuff
that's
keeps
what this
happening.
was.
Wow, we got to talk offline about this.
Yeah, well, I'll text you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Um,
So what is your top 5? Because you have the
yes,
Travis Kelce related, or
I
Kels.
did.
I don't know what we're saying
Kel,
anymore.
yeah, it really is like a by the way, I don't know if you saw the follow-up, like it was a Stephen Colbert situation where he said like some of his family says Kels and some of it says Kelsey.
Oh, really?
Like when Cole,
Did his brother Jason weigh in? Because he's also an NFL player.
I don't know, I didn't do enough research.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
email the Eagles. I know the Eagles PR person. I'm gonna be like, can we get a
we're getting to the bottom of this.
I'm gonna get a quote from Jason on Travis's
On Travis,
beard.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
on what Travis is up to, what
Anyway,
is going on.
continue.
I did my list was the top 5 transformations in sports
Mm-hmm.
that have ever happened. Physical or just transformations. You understand what I mean? Travis Kelce
Yeah.
shaved his beard. It's a transformation. It's taking some time to get used to this.
Huge.
And I'm trying to think of other examples that came to mind. And here are my top 5. So you ready?
Okay.
At number 5, I have Tom Brady's trek into the uncanny valley, where he started, which has become like this offseason in particular. Like we've all kind of like been tracking Tom Brady, the model, his arc
Yeah.
as like a
The
handsome
Met
man.
Ball,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
commercials.
But it became especially jarring this offseason when Mac Jones gets drafted by the Patriots, and I see the flashback pictures of Tom Brady when he was drafted, and you got the picture of him where his shirt's off and he's like slouching and it looks like he's got a little bit of a belly and whatever. And then Charlotte, just this past week or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
past 10 days at the Hall of Fame with Tony Dungy, and he looks like a wax figure.
Yeah.
And it just like thinking about this offseason of Tom Brady after winning the Super Bowl and thinking about where he started and where he ended up in his physical appearance, it is jarring. It is uncanny. He is yeah, he's handsome, but it's like a little too much and a little too like
Someone in my life who will not be named said to me that Tom Brady looks like, I don't know if this is misogynist or not, but
no, go for it.
looks like the moms at a private high school in New England who've had a lot of work done. And I'm not telling you who said that, but it was a wise person who
Yeah.
said those things.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I think I made a plan with myself never to say that on air, and I've just
Whoops.
just like let it fly. But
He is like if you ask me is Tom Brady handsome, I would say yes, he's handsome for whatever that is that he is.
he's handsome in a way that is I don't know any. Yeah, he's
He's
handsome
both
in a Photoshop sense.
he's both extremely handsome and he looks like something I would never ever want to wake up and look like at the same time. That's what I mean. Like that's where he's at in
I
the
thought you were
uncanny
gonna say
valley.
wake up next to. And I
Yeah,
was like, yeah.
like
I don't
they're
think
like Jason Momoa, for example, Charlotte. If I could look like that dude, that'd be pretty cool. I would take it. Yeah, sure, sign me up. Tom
Okay.
Brady, also extremely handsome. If I could look like him, I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that one. I don't. Which is
I think
I
I
don't know.
would, given those two choices, I would go with Tom Brady because I think that then I
Yeah, because Jason
would
Momoa
have
never
great
won it
skin.
because he never won a Super Bowl for the New England
Yeah.
Patriots. That's why we all
Right.
know the
Yeah.
answer.
Six rings.
Number 4 on my list. Shaka Smart growing his hair out this past season.
Yeah.
I don't know how in tune you are with the former head coach of the Texas Longhorns
No, I
basketball
saw
team.
that.
You know this
Weirdly,
story,
believe it
yeah.
or not.
He made the 2011 Final Four. That was like his crowning achievement as a basketball coach. He was a young guy coaching VCU, and he had a shaved head, and he has had a shaved head ever since then. Up until this year, he starts the season with like a little baby fro. He's got like a little curly hair going, and it was jarring. It was staggering. And Texas opens the season winning the Maui Invitational in Asheville, North Carolina. They beat North Carolina on a buzzer beater. That Tate and I were at the game, and it was unbelievable. And I thought to myself, I think his hair might be magical. Texas got up to rank 4th in the country this year. They had a great season, and then it all came crashing down in the NCAA tournament. They lost in the first round to Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
But that was my favorite because like as the season progressed, I genuinely thought he had magical powers. I thought his hair like made him a better coach. Like,
I believe in that. I'm right there with you. I think, dress for the part you want. Like have the hair for the confidence that I'm
Oh my
no,
God. How's the Charlotte has a Peloton instructor to be like, guys, listen, it's Monday morning. We're on the bike though. We're getting after it today. Today we're gonna go out there and we're gonna just, just like we're gonna get it.
We're gonna it's gonna be so good, everyone.
Just give me
okay.
I need 100 cadence or just like just whatever. Just like let's get to whatever on the cadence and just kind of
No, it'll be this. It'll be Monday morning. Welcome to Peloton. I'm so excited to have you. We're gonna work up a sweat. I'm already okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, and then I run out of breath immediately trying to do the workout. Okay.
Number 3 on my list. James Harden's entire existence, basically.
Yep.
The beard, which he did not have initially. People forget, Charlotte. He used to not have the beard, and then he had the beard. There was a time in James Harden's life when he did not have the beard.
Extremely different.
Yes.
Without the beard.
It is crazy. But more importantly, the weight fluctuations are hilarious and they are ongoing. There is no telling right this second how much James Harden weighs within a range of 40 pounds. No one knows.
It's not fair because James Harden can go to town on like every buffet in sight and then a week later show up cut and jacked out of his mind. And I'm like,
Remember when he went on?
That'd be great.
Remember when he went on one hike and apparently lost like 130 pounds and looked like he was dying when he came down from the mountain? And everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Weird. You're like, "Are you okay?"
And then That was in like May of last year, and then in December it was the most famous picture of him just being an absolute balloon warming up in
Like
season.
floated in his jersey in season.
And then this year, same thing. He is preposterously
Literally, Mark, a week later, after the balloon
After the
picture,
trade.
he's with the Nets and looking like
He's got-
in better shape than I could even dream of.
makes zero sense. It
I don't get
baffles
it.
the mind. And by the way, the James Harden disciple to keep an eye on, Zion Williamson. A lot of the same
Oh.
vibes coming out of the Zion Williamson camp
Huh.
that James Harden's got going on. Cannot figure out if that guy is out of shape or in shape at any given. Remember the moment. Remember like getting ready for the bubble, the picture of Zion where he's wearing the mask in the weight room and he's
Yeah.
like, he looks like a Greek god. He's
Just
unbelievably
made of
chiseled.
marble.
Yeah, and then the next
It's February, you're like,
yeah, 2 weeks later, he's like a guy that won't take his shirt off at the pool. You're like, what?
oh,
Like, Zion, what's going on
Zion.
here? Anyway, try to figure that out. So I got James Harden. Just everything James Harden's got going on is number 3 on my
Okay.
list. Number 2 is not a physical transformation. It is more of a persona transformation. When Chad
Mhm.
Johnson changed his name to Chad Ochocinco,
Mm.
and just really leaned into that whole era of the NFL when him and Terrell Owens were basically, they took the NFL by storm, and
Yes.
just like every Bengals game, they actually played together on the Bengals. But Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson, that era of in the NFL was absolutely hilarious. The touchdown
was.
celebrations, the press conferences, Terrell Owens doing crunches. Like, so what made this funny to me is like Ron Artest is another great example when he changed his name to Meta World Peace, and Ron Artest was kind of like the Chad Johnson of basketball.
Yes.
But Ron Artest, there was always like a tinge of like, is this guy crazy? Like, we're trying to figure out like, should we be laughing with them? Are we laughing at
Right.
him? I
Is
don't
he
really know
well?
what's going on here. I don't really. Chad Ochocinco, for whatever reason, I just felt like we're all laughing with him. Like he's just he's very obviously just leaning into like making this a clown show, and it made it so fun. It was so fun to follow the NFL then.
It was also a great way that I remembered his number.
Yeah, which we should
I
point
think
out is
Tom
not
Brady
85.
should be
85 in Spanish is
uno
not
duos.
85 in Spanish is not Ocho Cinco, by the way, which is was always the funniest part to me.
Yeah,
That's
but it's the 8 and the 5.
right, but like that's what makes it funny is that he
Chad
just,
8-5.
Chad 85. Yeah. And then he legally changed his name. Everything about it was hilarious.
And then he changed it back, like he's Chad Johnson
He's
again.
Chad Johnson. And then he kind of did the Tebow deal where he was like trying out for everything. I remember he tried out for the Kansas City soccer team and was like, why not? I'm going to try it. I'm just going to try everything.
See, it's funnier when Ocho Cinco does it.
Yeah.
When he does it, you're like, live your truth, man. And Tebow does it, and you're like, how dare he?
Dare you. Yeah, no one cared about the guy who sucked at soccer that was also trying to try out for the Kansas City soccer team and didn't get a chance because of Ocho Cinco, you know?
Right.
But we all care about oh yeah, I forgot about that. The note we just got. He did box. He boxed against the he boxed against the one dude in the he's always trying
That's
something.
another one that I missed on Tebow, to be honest. He could become like a UFC fighter.
Yeah. It's Tim Tebow versus Logan Paul. Pay-per-view.
Everything sucks.
Everything.
Okay.
Number one.
What's your number one?
My number one transformation that's ever happened in the world of sports is when Bobby Valentine grew a mustache in 10 minutes when he got ejected from a baseball game and then came back out with a mustache and sunglasses on.
I was so hoping you were gonna say that.
Yeah, the greatest transformation of all time. He
Also, what a name.
Yeah. Speaking of names and that incident, you know who was on the mound for the New York Mets when Bobby Valentine was ejected?
Oh.
The guy's name was Pat Mahomes.
Oh my
You ever heard of him?
God.
Pat Mahomes' father. Patrick Mahomes, his father.
Oh my God.
Was on the mound. And Bobby Valentine, I guess, like tells the story that Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, was in the dugout for whatever reason, or was like there.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I did hasty research before this, and he apparently tells a story that like Patrick Mahomes is there, and then Patrick Mahomes was asked about it one time. He's like, "What are you guys talking about?" Like, I was
He's
4,
like, who's
dude.
Bobby Valentine?
I don't remember.
Yeah, sorry, man. You lost me. That's a great list, Mark.
The other note I have from that game, the home plate umpire that night who tossed Bobby Valentine, that made Bobby Valentine have to put on his disguise to come back. His name was Randy Marsh. How crazy is that?
No way.
Randy Marsh tossed Bobby Valentine, and then Bobby Valentine went and painted a Randy Marsh mustache on his face and came back out.
Oh my God. It's so good. You know what that reminds me of too? Is you remember when Carlos Beltran drew hair on his head with a Sharpie in 2016?
Oh, that was Carlos Boozer.
No.
Carlos Beltran did this too?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He drew hair on. I'm pretty sure. I hope so because I saw him at an event for Pedro Martinez.
He did too. Carlos.
Yeah.
So when you
Two
say
Carloses.
when you say remember the athlete named Carlos who painted his hair on, you have to say which one.
Which Carlos? And then like the B, Carlos B, and they're like, no, which one? But I asked Carlos Beltran about that. I was like, hey man, it was like the Chris Farley interviews where he's like, remember when you like were in the Beatles and Paul McCartney's like, yeah, and he's like, that was awesome. I was like, hey Carlos, remember when you painted your hair on in the dugout? And he was like, yeah, and I was like, that was funny. And then like the conversation was over.
Oh
anyway,
Speaking
I
of,
can't think of a better list, honestly.
Speaking of Carlos and alter egos and everything, remember who was the Wiener guy, Anthony Weiner, when he went by Carlos Danger? How great of a story was that? What a story!
Out of control. So I know someone who now plays on a men's hockey league with him in New York. He's playing men's hockey in New York. Or maybe that's who is the other one? Who is the
Anthony Weiner is at the disgraced politician summit with the Tokyo mayor. No, the guy was the mayor too, the Japanese mayor. Talking about Carlos Danger. Oh man.
All right, folks.
Is that it?
I think that's it, man. It was a good.
That was fun.
A lot of tangents on that bad boy.
We had fun.
I feel better than I did when we.
You know
started.
what? I'm gonna call for these emails. I want your celebrity net worth. What is the most staggering celebrity net worth? Thing you can find. I implore all of our listeners, go to Celebrity Net Worth. Tell me what you find that is noteworthy.
What blew your mind?
What blew your mind? Good or bad?
I also just want to say real quick. On Monday's honorable mentions, a guy named Sean Miller who signed the email Dogger Miller and drove the Wienermobile. And I think I have met before on the Wienermobile, but I'm not entirely sure. He sent me a message and was like, thank you for reading my email. I want you to know, though, that Dogger was a nickname my dad gave me when I was little. And then I got the job driving the Wienermobile. So it actually predated his profession. I think we're at the point where I just completely short circuited.
That's like the guy who named one of his kids winner and the other one loser and did like the experiment just to see what happened.
I had a friend whose last name was Foot growing up, and her grandfather was a podiatrist. So
something to that. Your dentist is named Crentist? Interesting.
I think about that at least once a week. Okay.
All right.
Send us emails. Bye.
Oh my God. We can't land the plane. We can't land the plane for anything.